Hey folks, Matt here, and I'm up in the Rocky Mountains, 93-degree heat, but none of that matters, because you and I are about to go to Wax Trax Records in Denver, Colorado. We're going to talk to the people who own the place, we're going to check out the shops, and we're going to check out some metal section stuff. So definitely, stick around.
The store was originally started by a couple of guys, Jim Nash and Danny Flesher. They had a crew of people that worked with them and stuff, and they started off, I think, around 74, 75, at a spot a few blocks from here. Then they moved into here, came up with the name Wax Trax.
That was where they kind of had more success, built up a clientele. Kind of specialized in punk and new wave music at the time. That was kind of the up and coming thing. So they had, in stores with the Ramones and the Cars, other groups of the day.
Dave Stibman, the other owner, and I were working together at the time for Jefferson County Social Services as caseworkers. And that was something we wanted to get out of. Dave and I were both interested in music. We decided to look into purchasing a store that already had a basis going.
Denver was not very much of a hotbed for live music at that time, for that kind of music. So they wanted to move, and so they decided Chicago was a good place to go. So in the meantime, I had been a customer and got friends with, Mike Smythe was also an English guy who was involved with them too. And so I had wanted to do a record store all my life, pretty much, because I was a record collector. I thought, well, it'd be great to collect records and run a store.
Summer, fall of 78, we were dickering with them, and then in November of 78, we took over, and they moved to Chicago, where of course, they had a great store and a great label that they started, and we just plugged along, persevering here, and now it's 41 and a half years later.
We just sort of did what we wanted because it was our store, and it was a great opportunity because we started out with pretty much nothing and just a few used records.
Grew up working here. It was my first job. Went away and came back for COVID, basically. And I've been manager ever since March 2020.
Nice.
We did follow some of the ideas from Jim and Danny because they were pretty smart about record stores, and of course we had never done retail ourselves, so we had to learn from them. And we had a lot of fun doing it. We ordered a lot of imports because a lot of the music was coming from England and around the world. So we specialized in having the latest music, and a lot of it was imports, so we kind of stocked up on that.
Speaking of hirees, a lot of the people you hired early on were customers, I heard? Like regulars?
People that we couldn't get rid of. They'd just come in and they hung around so often. They dropped out of school and were in trouble with one thing or another. And actually, a lot of them were really good kids.
Hey Joe, you're a good customer.
Yeah.
Why don't you get behind the counter here? We need a little help. It's busy. So we hire people that way.
Right on.
They were all in bands. 79, 80, 81, the whole punk thing was actually just getting started in Denver, whereas it was probably, on the slide in a lot of other places. And those kids were great. We had a lot of fun with them. It was a much looser time.
Okay.
How different was it from being a social worker?
Well, Dave and I always said that we had gotten tired and burned out on trying to save teenagers, and we wanted to just corrupt them.
Right on.
And it was much easier to do. They were all ready.
You did a little bit of a reconfiguration during COVID. I was here 3
Yes.
years ago when I first saw the store, and I saw the old layout. Now there's a new layout.
Yeah.
Talk about that a little bit.
Sure. Well, we were kind of had set up with all the vinyl in this store and all the CDs at the other corner store. And when we did that, CDs were popular. So there was enough there to keep a store going. But then as CD interest dropped, vinyl interest increased. We had most of our business was in this store here with all the vinyl, new and used. And so we were wondering, how can we reconfigure this store to get it, so it's a little evened out. And we had talked a lot about getting the new vinyl up to the corner, because that's kind of, should be the main store. So as it turns out, Pete had decided to move back to Denver. And when he came, he just kind of took the bull by the horns and did what he thought was the right thing to do.
Originally, my dad, actually, his apartment was in here.
Yeah.
This was his living room.
Oh.
Yeah, he lived here. There was a room on the other side of this that's store space now, but that was his bedroom. There was a shower over here, stove and refrigerator. We still have a fridge.
Nice.
And stuff. And a couple of years he was back here?
At least.
And Pete has been a general manager, and happy that he's doing that, because I'm getting older. Don't really want to take all the responsibility anymore. So
Maybe he feels a little bit like you did when you were young. Want to
think-
have this fun job, not do so much of that other stuff.
yeah, he does. I mean, he's finding out there's more to it than having fun.
Of course.
But at the same time, he's doing what he has to do.
It was a wild time.
Speaking of while, I heard a lot of car crashes have happened.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
We opened in November of 70, or took over in November of 78. In January of 79, a car came through the east wall over here, which at that time was a big plate glass window with a very small brick wall beneath it as the structure, and the car got almost all the way in here. Customer and an employee went to the hospital. I had been knocked off that way towards the store and lost my glasses, was stumbling around, and it was crazy.
Then another car came, and when we had been open, in fact, that's about, 5-6 years ago. I'm not sure, Dwayne, you might remember that, but that really blasted out the entire doorway, and it was a really big mess. And that took us quite a while. We finally got our sign back. That you see as you come in the front door, that goes back years. We had a sign that looked like that. So we Pete got behind that too and got us a new sign. But it copies the old one. So that was 2 cars. Then we had a bus that, it came by. We had this retaining wall just on the other side of the sidewalk now. And luckily that was there when the bus came through, was driving too fast around the corner, tipped over, and just luckily hit the wall that time, not the store. Oh, that's right. There was another car. I used to live in the back of the store when we first bought it, and a car came blasting through there again on the north side, and just pretty much broke the windows. It didn't ruin the structure too much.
Yeah. Have you had any accidents lately?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
No.
We had a sign up in the window that you could, put specials on and stuff like that. And Dave put up a sign the next day, said drive-in service closed, which was such a good move. It was our first bout of free publicity. The daily newspaper came down, took a picture of it, ran it in the paper, and we hit the ground running.
So you carried vinyl all the way through the decades when a lot of stores didn't. You know?
Oh yeah. Well, we did because we had a lot of it, and there was still a demand for it.
Yeah.
Even though, not as much demand.
Yeah.
But it was like kept us in business, sort of. CDs. I mean, the whole thing kind of dropped in the early 2000s, and when people were downloading.
Speaking for my dad, he never fully got into CDs.
Yeah.
And, I think it's more about just habits than anything else.
We didn't really think CDs were going to stick around.
Yeah.
So we had a really awkward, terrible anti-customer setup. When we first started, we had a Rolodex and all the CDs behind our counter so that nobody could steal them. Yeah. And then we realized, oh man, this isn't going to work. So by that point, we had this building. And so it has 4 spaces in it, and we started shuffling around areas and spaces, and right next door made that a CD store. And we had these 4 spaces though, and we just never gave up on vinyl because, for one thing, we had so much that it just didn't make any sense. We couldn't figure out, we didn't want to store this entire building filled with CDs. So we kept up with vinyl, and we waited and waited and waited, and then all of a sudden you look at the monthly sales figure and vinyl was starting to creep up, and then it started to leap up. And this is where I can let Pete take over, because in this post-COVID period, it's just a remarkable swing, and Pete has injected some new life and new thinking into the way that we're trying to handle the spread or spectrum of what we're carrying, and really it's paying off.
You do the record collecting expo as well?
Yes, we've done that. We've done that for I don't know, 30 years, something like that. At any rate, that's sort of a big thing, and we enjoy doing that.
Yeah, it's actually coming up in about a month, and we're doing a Rocky Mountain Records show, which is just starting up for the first time. That's in a couple weeks.
Nice.
We're also going to be at the Underground Music Festival, and we go to sometimes neighborhood flea markets. We got a little mobile unit that we're working on.
It's a lot of work because you have to kind of get stuff together that hasn't been in the store for a long time. So you want something fresh for those people. And I like to go 45s. We have thousands of 45s. So take them out there.
Of course, we have to talk about the Lemmy mural out there. Like, it's the first thing I saw when I walked up here 3 years ago when I first visited. How did that come to be?
Well, a good guy that we know, because we had rented out that space there to put ads up, like a Sailor whiskey or, Blue Bunny ice cream and stuff. Goofy stuff, but it brought in a little bit of money. He was a really good muralist. And then all that faded away, and he didn't come around for a while. And then he started coming around saying, I want to do a mural out there. And I kept putting him off because I never want to make a decision, ever. I just wait until life takes care of it for me. And Patrick, the guy's name, he showed up one day, and he just did it. He did that in one day, and he's a great artist.
I guess it takes on some new meaning since Lemmy's gone now.
He was not gone when we put it up.
Yeah.
And it has been a wonderful thing, because I can't tell you how many people, when we're coming into work or going out up and down the sidewalk, how many people are stopped in front of that taking either selfies or having somebody take their pictures. It's got to be a landmark by this point.
Yeah.
I had just come back to help these guys think about retirement. And I thought, I was working as a city planner, and I thought I would continue to do that and do this on the side. But then when the store closed, I took time off from work, and I just started moving all the vinyl over here because I knew that was coming up. And actually that time off allowed us to make a major change that would have been pretty much hell if we didn't have that time off. So it worked out. And then we started talking to the staff about, you know, what they wanted to do. And, you know, something that I valued and we valued and they valued, it turned out, was the community center aspect of the store. And just like, you know, it's a hangout and it's a place where musicians can come together, find each other, and we've always had people in bands on the staff. So we're actually financially...
band's playing now?
The band's playing now.
Yeah.
You know, one of our employees is doing the sound of this, and we had our employees playing in their bands a couple weeks ago and coming up as well. And so it's all tied up with the local music scene. And so, you know, when they expressed that, we just kind of went all in and started having these shows on Sundays, every Sunday, all summer long. And actually, because we have this little piece of sidewalk outside, it's a lot of these bands' first show since COVID. And they're, you know, really loving being able to come back in a relatively safe way. There's not a lot of outdoor venues for local bands.
People are still coming in, buying lots of vinyl, and so we'll do whatever's selling. We'll keep doing it, and you know, so I don't listen to people say anything's dead, even if they say CDs are dead. I don't. I mean, Pete is on the belief that that is dead, but I think that could come back to it. I mean, who knows?
Some of the relations go back all the way to the 70s, where we have the same guys coming in.
Sweet.
And I think it is the tie between the store and the local music scene, really, that, you know, because recorded music is one thing, and people sort of lost sight of that physical piece for a minute. But because we're always, you know, intertwined with the local musicians and stuff, there was always an appreciation for that old record, that old scene that we used to have. And these records are what ties us back to that.
Because no one says, come over to my house and look at my MP3 collection.
Right. Yeah, you can't do that. There's not a conversation that happens. There's not a moment that happens even. It's just on in the background. Yeah. But, you know, record, you can be like, hey man, I just got this new record. You want to listen to it, you know? Yeah. Or you set the records up and then it's an event. You're talking, you have some drinks, whatever. Yeah, it's an experience.
And just like that, I'm back in the mountains. First and foremost, I want to thank Pete and Dave and Dwayne for letting me shoot interviews of them, for letting me shoot their store. Really incredible guys, very friendly, very personable, very knowledgeable, as are all of the employees there. I always have a good experience when I'm in the shop. It's one of my favorite record stores in Denver. It beats out a couple others I'm not going to name, but definitely you should check it out. The day I was there was a Sunday. There was also this flea market going on, so all of the sidewalks were covered with vendors. There was a band there at the shop, so there were a lot of people there for the band. There were a lot of customers there. It was a pretty crowded day, and it got a little bit challenging trying to shoot stuff around that, but I managed to do it. You saw a basement shot, so you definitely know how to go to some places to get some good footage. So there's that. So as you got from the video and the interviewees, there are two shops. They're on the same block. The first one is Wax Trax proper. It's on the corner, and they have all of the new vinyl. And then there's the store 2 doors down. I think it's 2 doors down, called Wax Trax 2, and they have all the used vinyl. I highly suggest you go to both of these shops to get a full experience because they have great stuff in both shops. Speaking of which, I did buy some vinyl in both. I got 2 new records, I got 2 used records. And you'll definitely be seeing those on a future episode of Vinyl Haul, so definitely check in for that. And that's it for another episode of the Record Store Report. Finally glad I could do one after a year and a half of COVID restrictions. Haven't been able to do them, so now I can. So you'll get more of these as I go. They take a little while to do, but I think you'll see it's worth the wait. Anyways, of course, if you're new to my channel, if this is the first time you've been here, hi, my name's Matt. I run the Accusation Network. This is the channel on metal vinyl collecting. I do videos once or twice a week. You should definitely check out my playlist, see all the shows that I do. I don't just do record store reports, I do vinyl hauls and upcoming metal vinyl and all of that. So you should definitely check all of that out. Of course, 3 great ways to support this network is to like this video, share it with your friends, and of course, subscribe to the channel. Can't say that enough. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.